Hello, Katie.
Hello again.
So we make the saw.
The saw, yeah, another important part of our sort of rustic camper scene.
I'm gonna select my reference image and I'm gonna go here and change it again like we've done before and select my saw. I put it there and there we have it. The saw is quite fun. It has a few things that are exactly like what we've been doing, but we're gonna be learning a tiny bit more.
Okay.
Do you prefer to start with the blade or with the handle?
Maybe with the handle.
Okay, let's start with the handle. And the handle, it doesn't look that difficult, but we have a problem with the handle, is that we always start from a cube, but the handle has a hole in the middle.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you my favorite way of making holes in the middle.
Okay.
Different people do it in different way, but like this way I'm doing it, I think works very well.
Okay.
Of course, we're starting from a cube because we love starting from a cube in the school. And I'm going to go quickly to the edit mode, scale it so I make sure that the handle on the side is quite thin, and the hole will be somewhere here in the middle. But let's start from this part. We usually don't do this in the school, but because we do a bit more like type of freehand, like a free way of modeling, but I'm gonna kind of bring my reference a bit closer together because some people like modeling like this, and I think it's good to show to people that that's another way of modeling, which is kind of copying the reference completely. So what you do is I'm gonna go into my edit mode, select all the points, and you kind of put things very, very together with the reference. So then you are copying it, like bit by bit.
Okay.
Kind of as if you were tracing a drawing. If someone gave you a drawing and you're tracing on it.
The 3D tracing.
So let's start from here, and I'm gonna move this a bit more around there. Let's start from here and put that there, okay? And now let's see how we can do to copy the entire structure of the saw. So I'm gonna go and select the faces. I'm gonna select the face here, press E for doing extrude, or if you prefer or you find this confusing, instead of press escape to cancel, you can do space bar, select extrude there, extrude region is called, and drag and drop. It's exactly the same thing. So depending on what you prefer. So I'm gonna extrude there, okay? And now I'm gonna go to move it a bit around there, and I'm gonna select this face, E for extrude, and I'm gonna extrude that there, extrude again, I'm gonna scale it a bit down. Into the local, I can use instead of the local or global, I can use the normal if I want, because now I follow the normal of the polygon. Do you see the little difference? Before, this was in completely vertical, but if I want to scale it, kind of does a weird thing in the scaling.
Yeah.
But if I select here in the orientation, the normal of the polygon, it kind of aligns to the polygon. So when I scale it, it's nice and
that's a handy
in
one.
the same direction. So it's a little different options there in the orientation of the polygons when I want to kind of do these transformations. Okay, so I'm gonna go there. Maybe actually I can put it up to there. And now because I want to start the lower part, I can go to my loop cut and make a cut there. So now I have a polygon there to continue down.
Oh, great. This looks like a very intuitive way of modeling. It is, like you were saying, just like a tracing method.
Yeah, it's like tracing, and I think you can go and copy as you go. You can do and modify, and however you feel comfortable. You might use more techniques that are more making cuts. Some people use more using the extrude all the time, depending on what you like. I'm gonna continue now. I'm gonna do a bit more extruding. So now we have the extruding there, and now I'm gonna select this piece, and I'm gonna extrude all the way there. I'm gonna move it down. So I have it there, and I can even rotate it a bit. So I rotate it there, and now I'm almost done. Then we're gonna be able to transform things, but I'm almost done there. I'm gonna extrude the region again and extrude it there. So now we have a problem, which is I'm gonna delete the reference. But you see, my problem is that I want to move, like kind of put together this part and the top part of my shovel. And right now, it's not only that they are not together, it's that also they have a polygon face in there. So if I go to my mode, and in faces mode, I select that polygon, and then let's select this polygon there on the bottom. I'm selecting both of them. If I press delete on my computer, the program is going to ask me, do you want to delete the vertices, the edges, the faces? If I delete the vertices, it's going to delete not only the face, it's only going to delete all these points. So anything that is touching those points is going to have to disappear.
Okay.
So let's see what happens. I do the vertices, and I made a mess. So what we actually want to delete is only the faces. So I'm going to say faces. So now
We have a hole in both sides.
My saw has a hole there. And by the way, when I'm moving, it's quite uncomfortable because I'm orbiting around my anchor point in the middle. Usually, you can also change that cursor, but my favorite thing for that is I can select the points, select them all, and move my object kind of closer to the middle. So now when I'm orbiting more around that. You can change that orbit tool with changing the cursor, but usually I don't use it that much. If you like it, you can also move the cursor. But I'm gonna put that there, and now that's looking quite good, but I want to join those points. And it's super simple. I'm gonna go in points mode, and do you remember, like, if you press Alt, you select a loop. So with this, I selected this loop. If I do here, I selected that loop. So let's try to see if we selected that loop. So I selected all of the points in that loop. You could do it as well in lines mode, by the way. And maybe it's more clear in lines mode because that's there. And now I'm gonna hold Shift at the same time as I click with Alt, because I don't want to select only the point in the bottom. I want to select both of them. So it's Shift, Alt, and click there. So now I have both loops selected.
Okay.
And now I'm going to do right click. And there are so many options. And it has to be one of these ones, the one that looks like it makes sense. Because this program and Cinema has different names. Sometimes I get a bit confused, but I think it's something like Bridge Edge Loops. You see here it says Bridge Edge Loops. It's almost a difficult thing to pronounce, Bridge Edge Loops. So you click it there, and it generated a little bridge, generated new geometry. For sure, there's another mode in which you don't generate new geometry and you kind of join them. But right now, this is actually quite good for me, because if I reactivate my reference, actually I move the reference now because I moved this, but if I select these points there, I can move them and kind of move them a bit more there to the top. So we're having that there quite nicely. And I'm going to move my reference. I'm going to be in object mode, select my reference.
That's great. So now we've got one continuous shape with a hole in the middle.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So now what is the other part that, sorry, I didn't celebrate that. It's a great thing to have. We have that. We arrived to the shape that we wanted, and it has a hole in the middle. And if we put it in a subdivision surface, now we're going to see where we need to put a bit more geometry. So I'm going to go in here and do a subdivision surface there. And you see that it's looking a bit ugly. Let's put more subdivisions there. Let's put this in shade smooth. And it's still not looking good. And let's see what we need. The first thing is the side is going to have to be quite sharp. So I know automatically that in edit mode, I'm going to have to generate cuts on the side. So as soon as you generate one cut there and one cut there, now I got that sharper edges there. And then the other thing I need is to make sure that this hole is nice and smooth. So to do it, sometimes what I do is like, let's look at it from this point of view. And what I do is I select points, and sometimes I make it transparent. I'm going to be in selecting mode. I make it transparent. I'm going to delete the reference there. Not delete, deactivate the reference. I'm going to select the points there. I'm going to go back here so I know that I selected the points at the back and the front. And now I can move them. And I can move this until I make it to be a bit smoother. I like to be a bit more oval. Because I don't have that many points, it's quite simple to make it oval and pretty. And then the other thing that my reference shovel has is like, it has this this funny part at the back. And I think probably it's at the back and at the front. But actually, it wouldn't even make much sense. Probably you would want that to be like that in the inside for your hand to hold.
Yeah, but it sort of looks pretty.
It kind of looks pretty, and we don't need to be realistic, so it's fun. And probably sometimes the bare hands are so big that they need to hold from there as well. So let's see if we can copy that. So what we need to do is I'm going to go in transparency mode. I'm going to select those 2 points and move them here. That's already making a nice and smooth thing. And now let's make a couple loop cuts here. So one would be there, another would be probably there, and we don't need another one there. I think if I now go to my selection mode again and select those 2 points at the bottom, spacebar move, and I'm kind of moving that there. And now I'm going to do the same, shift set, select those 2 points, shift set again, moving that there. And now I'm going to shift set, select those 2 points, moving that there. Probably I need another curve there, but we're not needing to be perfect. And I think actually this is looking fantastic. So nice. I really don't mind if it's not perfect. That's looking really good. The only thing for me is that it could have more thickness because this is for a big bear. So I'm going to be in my edit mode and I'm going to select it all, select the scale with space bar and kind of scale it to make it a bit thicker. as we were saying before, the chunkier it is, the prettier it's gonna look.
Yeah.
And that's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna rotate my reference a bit. It's a bit strange how it's not perfect like that. So I'm gonna rotate it towards there, and I can see here in the Y, I can put it at 90. So I have it nice and like a bit more working with increments of 45, 90. I think it's a bit more mathematical. Ends up working a bit better when we are making this type of things. And now here in my object properties, I can rotate this probably 90 degrees as well. I'm gonna rotate it 90 degrees. So now it's ready to put all the parts of the blade.
Okay.
Should we make the blade?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, before we make the blade, I'm gonna make these two. Do you see these things usually are screws or something that hold the blade in place? To make them, it's super simple with mesh. We can do it from a cylinder. It's much easier to do.
We don't have to start from a cube this time.
No, we don't need to start from a cube. Let's check that the depth is fine. If we do the depth a bit long, we can do front and bottom. So now I'm gonna shade this smooth. No worries if it's looking a bit strange, because then we're gonna apply a bevel. And in rotation, rotate in X, I'm gonna rotate 90 degrees. And here we're gonna add a bevel modifier. But at this point, you should know that in a bevel modifier, you need to do more segments. And you can select the amount with the distance if you want it to be very extreme, or if you want to be a bit shorter and sharper. That's looking good. And I'm gonna move it, space bar to move that. And let's make sure, you see before, we don't have the geometry being completely in the middle from the shovel. I prefer to work from the point 0. So because I moved it before, the best thing to go is to edit mode, select it all, and move it. And you see the movement is like moving in a really weird way, because we were moving from the normals of the object.
Yeah, we didn't change that back from before.
Let's move it back to global, and let's make sure that this is kind of, you see, it's in the middle when it's kind of hiding on both sides of my geometry are hiding there. That's already telling me that it's more in the middle. That's good. And now I'm gonna select my cylinder, and let's be back in object mode, and I can scale it a tiny bit out.
I like this thing as well of even if you're not going to see both sides of the saw,
Yeah.
doing it well, so you know.
You never know then when you're gonna, I'm gonna copy and paste this, by the way. You never know when you are gonna see something. Sometimes you think you're not gonna see it, and then for whatever reason you end up seeing it. So
yeah, it's kind of less painful to put in all those little details now, I think.
And then scale it down and stretch it. And you see when I did it, my bevel got a bit weird. Remember that your bevel gets weird because you are changing the scale a lot. Just do Control A, all transforms, and it gets nice and smooth like it was before. Okay, that's looking quite good.
Perfect.
That's ready to...
All right, ready to make the blade.
Okay, let's make the blade. We're going to start from a cube again.
Yep.
And we're going to... Let's see how we do it. We're going to scale the cube. So probably the beginning of the blade, everyone knows how it works. So we're going to put it there. Let's make it very long. And let's move it there. So that's the beginning of my blade. So that there. And then in edit mode, we're going to want to do it all transparent. So Shift set to make it transparent. We're going to select the points here on the bottom. We're going to move them so they go there. And now the points on the front, we're going to move them and it goes there. And that's looking quite good. That's almost the blade. So very simple. But we are missing something here.
How's it going to cut?
Yeah, how's it going to cut? So I'm going to scale it, by the way. I'm going to scale it. This is in the normal position as well. In global, I'm going to scale it down together. So it's even a bit thinner because blades are quite thin. And how is it going to cut? So we're going to have to do all this up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And we could do it by making, we could come here, make a vertical cut, put it there, then make another vertical cut and make sure they are all in the same distance. But that's boring and it would take a long time. But before I told you that like when I click there, number of cuts appear. So I can make more cuts. I can simply make many.
And it would just make them there proportionally.
Yeah, so we have a lot of proportional cuts that I'm going to put. Probably, I don't need that many because as we were saying, this is a quite cartoonish style. So we want people to be able to see it. It's not a saw that is going to cut in real life. So when I press enter, I don't know if you need to press enter, but I press enter. And now the transformation is there. And now the only thing we're going to do is making sure that we select half of the points. So I'm going to select this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. I'm going to do like that.
I guess this is another moment as well when the students can decide a bit how their saw is going to look.
Yeah.
You can choose how many points you want to have and how sharp they're going to be, how long they're going to be.
Completely agree. And now I'm going to move it up.
Uh-huh.
And that's my saw. And we have now a few different ways in which now we could kind of make it a bit smoother. If we put it inside a subdivision surface, it's a bit of a mess, because as soon as I put it inside a subdivision surface, I'm going to show you now, my problem is that I kind of lose all the sharpness in my object. You see, now my cuts are very soft. So if you want to solve that with the subdivision surface, then you will have to go and do cuts near.
For each individual one.
That's one of the options. The other option is, instead of doing that, you do a bevel, and with a bevel you do a few more segments. And the bevel, for me in this occasion, works quite well and gives you less problems. If the bevel is not working very well, remember that you can, in object mode, you can select Control A and apply all the transformations, and now the bevel is working much better, because before the scale was all wrong. So now you have a bevel that's working quite well. It depends on, with the bevel, you're getting a sharper style.
Yeah.
With the subdivision surface, you're getting something that is a bit smoother. It all depends on the look you want. Personally, I do it with subdivision surface and in the reference with the subdivision surface, but in this tutorial, we're going to leave it with the bevel. It's about finding your style. It's about finding what works for you.
Yeah, I think so. But for me, I feel like both of them work as well really nicely.
They both look pretty.
Obviously, the subdivision surface is more time consuming, but we've got time.
I'm going to generate a new collection. I'm going to put it saw. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to put my saw inside the entire collection, and I'm going to select all the objects that are inside the saw, and I'm going to put them all inside the saw, and there we have them. Okay?
Fantastic.
So we model another object, and see you in the next lesson. We're going to continue modeling, and really soon we're going to start building the scene and putting lights.
Fantastic.
So things are going to get
there.
very exciting. See you there.